Yes, welcome back to another episode of Film Focus with me, Fred Black.
Anthony Squire.
And yes, we got 2 more films and 5 more trailers to look at this week in our busy August month. Suddenly all the films have just come out all at once and we're struggling to see all of them.
But don't worry.
But yeah, it's all good. We're all doing it in the name of entertainment, I guess?
Yes.
Yes. Which film do you want to start off with first, Anthony?
Kick-Ass 2.
You want to start off with Kick-Ass 2, right? Because... yeah, we've got Kick-Ass 2, and later on we got, as you could probably tell by the title of the video, The Lone Ranger, which will cause a bit of controversy. But yeah, right now, we're going to talk about Kick-Ass 2 first and get that out of the way. So, we've both seen the first film. First film's a kind of real-life superhero film. Like, people in real life decide to become superheroes and tackle crime.
This has basically got the Red Mist... you know, who wants revenge for the death of his father in the first one, and Kick-Ass teams up with some just average citizens who want to be
who are inspired by Kick-Ass to become superheroes themselves. Like you've got Turk from Scrubs, he's in it.
Jim Carrey, obviously.
Jim Carrey as Colonel Stars and Stripes. I kept getting the rank mixed up. I kept calling like General Stars and Stripes.
He wasn't in it enough.
No,
he should have been in it.
We won't say any plot points that happen or anything, but
of course not yet.
Yeah, but he's definitely not in it enough, and that was one of the big things. Like you kind of see Jim Carrey and expect him to be like The Mask or Liar Liar, kind of big, crazy, all over the place, and he's not in this film. He's very restrained.
It's the first sort of real, well, not the first serious role I've seen him play, but the first sort of mad sort of seriousness.
Yes, I mean, he's got. He's been doing quite a lot of serious stuff recently, like Number 23 and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Eternal Sunshine was good.
Yeah, they're more serious stuff and they're not like wacky at all. But this one, he's kind of gone back to a bit more wacky. But again, he's restrained and he's kind of keeps it all up there.
I think it's just a publicity stunt with all the things he said about Kick-Ass too.
Yeah. Oh yes. Well, we mentioned this last week. He distanced himself from the film because he thought it was too violent.
If he thought it was too violent, he wouldn't have been in it in the first place.
Well, I'm not sure it's generally his bits, because, he beats people up and all that sort of stuff, but I think it was the rest of the bits in the film. Like, you have that fight with Hit Girl and Mother Russia, and that's
the scene in the canteen when
Hit
Girl touches the girl with that special stick.
Got special.
And basically...
That's so weird.
Basically, this other girl just suddenly starts puking.
Oh, that's actually quite a good way of puking. Is quite a good way of describing it,
at
really.
the same time.
But yeah,
and that's a pretty great scene. But when I saw it in the cinema, there were many of us going, "Oh god."
Yeah. The thing is, my one complaint I would have about Kick-Ass 2 is it's just incredibly uneven. Like it flips one way from being kind of quite quirky comedy and hard-hitting, kind of realistic action, to being a bit over the top and just a bit kind of you didn't really need that. Like you see with the shock stick thing that they have, and again with the first film they had a very definite thing. Like Hit Girl was this kind of very sassy, smart ass 13, 14-year-old who just happened to know how to kill people and swear all the time. But now they're trying to make it a bit more kind of human and a bit more kind of. I think
they just took a good
down
thing
a little bit.
They took what they thought was good from the first one and just exemplified it in this one. Yeah,
I thought they toned it down a little bit. I was kind of thinking, it's funny, but it either had to go really extreme or kind of go really subtle.
It wasn't as powerful as the first one.
No. I mean, that being said, I still really enjoyed it. I still really enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for me.
I gave it 7 as well.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, he's good. He's good. You've got Chloe Moretz. They're all doing their parts well. And some of the plot points that happen in it, and so, the story kind of keeps you guessing and keeps you kind of interested.
I mean, obviously, it's left it open for a sequel. Come on, trilogy.
Well,
it's going to go down the trilogy route.
I thought they didn't leave it open for a sequel. How they left it, I thought they kind of you've got what happens in the end. I'm not going to spoil it, but I thought it kind of just shut it down kind of nicely. I mean,
No.
obviously there is probably scope for a sequel.
There will be a sequel.
Like, you know,
It's got trilogy written all over it.
I think it all just depends how well this one does. I mean, it's getting kind of mediocre reviews all across the board, and especially, not least from us. I mean, we kind of give it above average, but
I think it was good overall.
I mean,
But it wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah, this is the problem with most sequels nowadays. They're not as good as the first one. They
Some
can't keep
sequels
that.
can be. I mean, The Dark Knight, when that came out.
Okay, yes, The Dark Knight did surpass Batman Begins. The Dark Knight Rises, however, just a little bit.
And Ben Affleck.
Oh yes, we won't go into Ben Affleck now. Like, Ben Affleck is playing Batman, but we'll move swiftly on from that point.
Ben, I really hope you do a better job than you did with Daredevil.
I doubt he's watching this to even accept this message. But yeah, like, Kick-Ass 2, I don't know, like, I really expected something like kind of bigger and better, because everyone was saying it's bigger, better, bolder, and all that sort of stuff. And it was, you know, a good film, but it wasn't, you know...
There was nothing original about it.
Well, it being a sequel, it doesn't
No,
really
but some
have much.
sequels, I mean, like...
They can reinvent themselves.
The Dark Knight, that was really good, and it definitely stands apart from the first one. Whereas this one...
It is a bit of a continuation. Obviously it's a continuation, but it kind of doesn't really... Yeah, I can see what you mean. It doesn't really bring anything new to the table, does it?
No.
But it's a good solid follow-up to, you know, Kick-Ass 1.
It's good, it's enjoyable. Like we said, there are some not very nice scenes.
Yeah,
but putting that to one side...
Yeah.
Well, I'm just repeating myself now.
Yeah, it's a good film, and you know there are far worse things that you've been going to see at the cinema. To be honest, like, yeah, you could be going to see far worse. So this is well worth the money actually if you want a good entertaining film. Right, I think that wraps that up nicely. So
Moving on to the trailers.
Move on to the trailers. You've got a pretty definitive. Do you want to start with the top? What's at the top of your list there?
Bounty Killer. This is beautiful, this trailer. It basically looks like a Mad Max 2 style future.
Oh my god!
And if you haven't seen Mad Max 2, why not?
I don't know. I just haven't. You haven't
yet.
seen
No,
I haven't. I haven't seen any of Mad Max.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you'd seen the third one.
No,
if you had said that,
if I was going to see any Mad Max film, I wouldn't start with the third one. I'd start from the beginning.
I think it's best to put number 3 to one side.
Isn't that the one with Tina Turner in it?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good enough reason not to see it. But yes, Bounty Killer is... It doesn't really have anyone of note in it. It doesn't really have anyone, like, famous. I mean, it's got, like...
They can be good films, though.
It's got, like, Gary Busey, who makes a vague appearance at the end of the trailer. But yeah, it seems to be just, like you said, a Mad Max 2 kind of apocalyptic future where people...
The corporate world has collapsed and people are putting bounties on each other.
On random people's heads, and yeah. It looked stupid. It looked kind of Machete follow-up kind of thing, like a Machete-esque film, which Robert Rodriguez has a lot to answer for in that case, if he's creating like film after film of these like...
Yeah, but Robert Rodriguez does a good job. He
does.
He
I
can
mean,
balance it out. He doesn't cross the line, if that makes sense.
This film does... I don't know, like...
I don't know till I see this film if it does or if it doesn't.
And I'm sure you probably will end up seeing this. You B-movie nut. But
don't
yes, like...
underestimate the B-movies.
Bounty Killer, yeah, I'm not too fussed about it. It was just, you know, it was a Machete-style action trailer. Complete with that corny kind of like, when the multi... like that really kind of throaty...
When the multinational corporation
that kind
has
of
collapsed.
Throaty voiced, like, serious man, like, voicing it. Yeah, what's the next trailer? Can we just move on from that? Because, yeah...
The next one is The Short Game.
Oh, The Short Game.
Now
That was like
I was a little sceptical about this one.
Yeah,
but it's basically a 7-year-old multinational golf tournament.
Like, we've had tons of documentaries thrown at us, like, week in, week out, and we are starting to get a bit fed up of documentary trailers, if we're being honest. But this one, it's essentially like the Masters golf tournament, but for 7-year-olds.
I love the ending to it. They're asking that 7-year-old, are you going to get married?
Yeah, it's like, well, I haven't found a girl yet. I was like, you're 7 years old. But it's weird that it was just such a weird thing in that they actually do this sort of stuff. I mean, I know they've got these weird tendencies in America to have, like, you know, children tournaments. I mean, they have, like, they still have like your kiddie beauty pageants, which are just creepy and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
like you
they
remember
are
Little
creepy.
Miss Sunshine, the film Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, that made fun of it, though.
Yeah, that made fun of it, but those things do actually happen, and kudos to that film for actually taking the piss out of it because it is just really creepy.
It's creepy to have.
But this
under
didn't look.
10-year-olds
This didn't look
doing
creepy. This was just like a golf tournament for children, and some of the children were really, really into it and were really determined to win it. Like they had that competitive drive. And out of all the documentary trailers we've seen this week,
this one actually looks like
was-
it could be enjoyable.
yeah, this was definitely the most interesting and one that kind of stood out for me.
Because it looked like towards the end like it was making fun of a whole, to a certain extent.
Well, I don't think the kids knew how to properly kind of live always in a golfing mood. I mean, they're
7-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think they had that kind of mentality about them, like someone like Tiger Woods or someone like that, where they're always in the golfing mind. They can always be thinking about the next championship. They have this one championship every year, and the rest of the time they're just practicing and getting on with being a 7-year-old. It's just that. And
I think it's a little creepy though. They do like these beauty pageants or these
yes,
multi-tournaments, and you've got 7-year-olds, and it's just wait a minute.
Yeah, well, it's a weird mentality over in that country. But anyway, yes, the short game. I'm actually I would actually kind of want to watch this if it came out.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Anyway, the next trailer. What's next on your list?
Okay. Out in the Dark.
Oh yes,
Basically Palestinians coping with homosexuality.
Which very, very kind of bleak assessment of it there. But yes, it's. I mean, this is still a touchy subject in countries like Israel and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was a kind of fictional tale of a Palestinian guy who's gay, and he doesn't know. He hasn't told his family. He tells a select group of friends and stuff like that, and he tries to kind of.
Obviously, they're going to find out though.
Yeah, it's the whole thing that you have to kind of expose it somehow. But yeah, it will look like a very kind of well constructed thriller, and maybe a drama.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's
a drama thriller. I'm going to wait and see on this one. Nothing really stood out from this trailer.
Well, to be honest, I was thinking, we picked this trailer. There were loads of other trailers that really didn't stand out for their plot or anything like that. So this one, to be dealing with such a subject in film even if it is such a kind of pertinent subject over there as well, it's nice to see people are actually trying to kind of deal with it like that and not just kind of hide it away.
Yeah.
But yeah, Out in the Dark looks quite interesting, and yeah, next please.
Stranger.
Wow, yes,
you said
Stranger.
This could have been a trailer for the new Star Wars film.
Well,
All it was some bloke looking at the camera with a stitched up mouth.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this appeared on Empire during this week, and it's a trailer from J.J. Abrams' film company, Bad Robot. And J.J. Abrams has done Star Trek. He's doing the new Star Wars films. He's done Alias and Mission Impossible 3. But
I hope he does a better job of this than he did with Star Trek 2.
Don't even get me started on that, mate. I love Star Trek 2. It's a great film.
It was not a touch on the original Star Trek 2.
It's not meant to be it's not trying to emulate the original Star Trek 2.
All it did was take the original 1960s episode with Khan and merge it with a hint of Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan.
You're wrong. But anyway, this new trailer...
I'm right.
You're wrong. This new trailer... no one knows what it's for, what film... But the video is just called Stranger, which is what we're taking the film's name to be. And yeah, it's all black and white, it's all very kind of dark and mysterious. Like you said, the guy's got his mouth stitched up. And
just looking at the camera.
Yeah. If this is, people were said, if this is a Star Wars teaser, it's an incredibly strange thing to start off with. And potentially it could be.
It's quite a jump to make from Return of the Jedi, where they've blown up the second Death Star, killed the Emperor, to have some bloke having his mouth stitched up. Unless it's them trying to stitch up Darth Vader again.
We will rebuild him a third time, or second time, or whatever.
Despite burning him at the end of...
But no, no one knows really what this film is about, and it's another one of his like Cloverfield kind of things. You remember the whole thing of Cloverfield? Like the poster was just revealed with a date on it.
Cloverfield was good.
It was good, but the whole like he loves doing this whole kind of mysterious ad campaign, and sometimes it works. It really does work.
Well, I hope it does work this time.
Yeah, and like the tagline. Well, the only bit of writing that comes up: soon he will know. I'm pretty sure soon we will know what the hell this film is.
Hopefully soon.
Yes, and the last film we've got, which one haven't we done yet? I'm looking. Monsters. Oh,
Monsters, Dark Continent.
Monsters Dark. Now, Monsters was a film released a few years ago, maybe.
Was it 2006?
Oh, it was a few years ago. I can't remember the exact year, but it was like some sort of. It was essentially like Mexico and like the top half of South America had been quarantined off due to some sort of alien monster infestation.
Yeah.
And this journalist and some guy she hires to kind of, take her through the infected zone. And they have to try and get through the infected zone to the other side so she can get back to America, I think.
Again, this was another short trailer. It was good because it keeps you wondering what is going to happen. All it basically was a couple of soldiers staring at the camera. But
you had that like a dump truck goes past with a kind of skeleton or a corpse of one of these monsters on it, and it's set in a completely different setting as well. It's set in like the Middle East, and most of the film apparently was shot in Jordan. So it's a completely different setting. So I don't know if they're going to have like the monsters have kind of started spreading. They've broken the quarantine zone and all that sort of stuff. If it's going to be war, but yeah, Monsters was a very kind of low key. Kind of
it was good
handheld film, a bit of horror and a bit of action in there as well. I'm looking forward to this. I'm really interested about it.
I'm interested about it. Again, it'll be hit or miss.
Most films are, let's be honest. Most films you go and see and like, I'm gonna really enjoy this.
You can have some middle ground.
Yeah,
but
I suppose so.
This won't.
This one. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate. It's going to be the Marmite film. You're going to love it or you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
Fair enough, that's a good way to go about it. But one film we are now definitely divided on, and we've already been discussed. Yeah, The Lone Ranger. We talked about this briefly last week and how it was getting panned by the media, and apart from Empire magazine, who gave it like 4 out of 5 stars.
The right score.
Well, I saw this. I don't think I've been so bored at the cinema for a long time.
It wasn't boring.
There is one action scene in a 2-hour and 20-minute film.
It's a brilliant scene, right?
It's the final scene. It is the final action scene to wrap up everything.
It's got good humour all the way through it. It moves at a good pace, good directing, good humour, and the scene near the end of the film where you've got this train which is racing along, but the Lone Ranger is still able to ride his horse on top of the train.
There are so many things, I was watching this film going, right, that's not right. That's just stupid. That's not... The fact that it's kind of a Princess Bride rip-off as well kind of annoyed me a little bit.
Princess Bride?
You've not seen The Princess Bride? Inigo Montoya, it's a classic, 80s fairy tale film with Carrie Ells and... Right, I need to show you The Princess Bride. But essentially, The Princess Bride has this same sort of thing where someone tells you the story. So in this film, you've got Johnny Depp's Tonto.
Well, it's been done loads of times though, where you have someone recounting their stories.
But no more so than The Princess Bride, because it's exactly the same thing. It's not like you're just telling it to someone as off the cuff thing. The Princess Bride, this granddad is reading his grandson a story. That's where the film comes from. And then Tonto's retelling this weird story to this kid.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing, and that rip-off kind of pissed me off a little bit. Also, I can suspend disbelief for any amount of film. I did it for the last Die Hard film, I did it for countless action films before, where you have stupid action sequences that don't physically make sense. Like The Hobbit. Did you see The Hobbit?
Yeah.
Bilbo Baggins falls down that incredibly deep hole into the goblin thing. That would have killed him. But no, he's fine, he's alright, he's just a little bit shaken up.
That always happens in films.
It does always happen in films, but The Lone Ranger has kind of just taken it to a new level.
That's what I liked about it. pushed it that little
They
bit
have
further.
just a little brief bit at the start of the film where they kind of there's that train that runs off the rails, and they're on it, and they get catapulted. Like, I think the train kind of upends itself. They get catapulted about 100 feet through the air, land on like hard rock sand ground, literally smash into the back of this carriage that's already kind of travelled that far. And then they kind of get up and like, oh, okay, right, let's keep going. No! You're two fairly frail-looking men. Like, that's not going to be... Like, at that point, I think the film just kind of lost all meaning for me. Like,
it's one of those... Yeah, but it's The Lone Ranger. It's like the original TV series. You know, I've seen reruns of that, and
I've never actually seen, to be honest, so I have nothing to really base it on.
You know, there was a lot of eccentricity in that as well. You know, and unbelievability. It's The Lone Ranger. You can't take it seriously.
I kind of think you have to do, like, with a setting like the Wild West, though, unless you are going to kind of introduce supernatural things, and they do try to introduce supernatural things, like with Tonto and his kind of spirit horse and all that sort of stuff. Which, again, okay, I'll give the film a few marks for Johnny Depp being Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he's just the usual Johnny Depp
He's
kind of
always fun to watch, and he's a good actor. And the way he plays Tonto, it's quite funny. Like, the end line, like, "Hi ho, Silver, away! Don't ever do that again," which is just like, okay, I got quite a few laughs from him, but the rest of the film just didn't do it for me. I was just not impressed at all.
You can't take this film seriously. It's just a tongue-in-cheek.
With a setting like the Wild West, though, you kind of have to have a little bit of seriousness in it. Like, okay, if you're going to have trains and horses chasing each other and stuff like that, that's fair enough, you can do that. But, like, you have to kind of, like, keep it restrained and try and make it, you know, believable as to what they do, because...
Yeah, but when you go and see a film, you do want that sense of escapism. You do want that sense of unbelievability.
From certain films, yes. If they're set in the future, if they're set on distant planets, if they're even set in like an alternative past, if they had said this was like an alternative Wild West, shit, I would have gone with it and it would have probably been better. But no, this was the Wild West, and they're like how can you like think of a film that doesn't get like people really badly hurt if they fall onto a truck of solid steel rocks?
But that was part of the humour.
Johnny Depp,
that's part of the eccentricity of it.
Like, he goes like smack bang into literally a bed of solid rock, and he just gets up like, okay, right, let's go. Like, yeah, no, you wouldn't do that. You'd be lying there for about 20 minutes going, oh fuck, that hurt.
You shouldn't take it seriously.
Like, where's John McClane when you need him? Like, where is he? He would get hurt by that. He'd be lying there and go, fucking hell. Tonto, no, spirit horse guides me. No.
Exactly.
I just couldn't. I really just couldn't.
I gave it 8 out of 10.
You gave it 8 out. I couldn't sit with it. I just couldn't. I sat through the entire thing, and believe me, I was tempted to walk out. I was tempted to walk out.
It wasn't that bad.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
It was. I gave it a 2 out of 10. It's
2?
A 2 out of 10. Don't fright night me on this one. I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. It was just so horrendously bad.
Have you had a bad week?
No. Well, that's beside the point. I saw it before the bad week started. Maybe it's what started my bad week. But I don't know. It's...
If you're looking for a simple film to watch...
Watch Kick-Ass 2.
I preferred this to Kick-Ass 2.
No, see, my film of the week is Kick-Ass 2, definitely.
I mean...
Your film of the week
Lone Ranger beat it by 1 point.
But it's still, that means it's still your film of the week. I wholeheartedly disagree with you on that one. And before we get into even more arguments about it, let's talk about next week's films that we're going to watch. One of which you've already seen, Two Guns. With...
But obviously I can't talk about it now.
See, I've seen loads of trailers for this every time I've been to the cinema for about the past 2 weeks. So it's like Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg as bounty hunters, or like, you know, government officials that are, you know, set up and need to get lots of money back. And it looks quite fun, and it looks quite funny. Is it funny? Just
Yes.
tell me this. Is it funny?
Yes.
Alright, okay. Have I seen all the best bits in the trailer?
No.
Good. I'm liking that, because if I've seen all the best bits of the trailer, I'm not going to want to go and see it.
It's not an amazing film, but it is enjoyable.
It'll be a solid action film for the summer, yeah? That's fair enough, I can deal with that. So we'll have that next week. Also with, now this one I'm excited about. Neil Blomkamp's new film, Elysium.
This is good.
It looks very good. I mean, you've seen District 9, right?
Hmm.
Amazing film.
Yeah.
Great film. And for him, because he was linked with the Halo movie, like the video game series Halo. He was linked with the Halo movie for ages, and then he pulled out, and that's apparently not happening now. But now he's got Elysium coming out, and
Not happening, or has it just been postponed?
I think it's just not happening. They've been talking about it ever since Halo 2. So that's been a good it's been just about 10 years or something they've been talking about.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's been stupid. I mean, I don't know when Halo 2 came out, but it's something stupid 10 years ago or something. But yeah, your thoughts on Elysium? I mean, have you seen any trailers for it or anything?
Is this the one with...
It's with Matt Damon with the kind of robotic kind of exoskeleton built around him.
I'm curious about it. I hope it doesn't rely on having well-known actors in it.
Oh, to my knowledge, it's only got 2. It's got Matt Damon and Jodie Foster, and
But it's enough.
it is enough. I see. I see what you mean. But the thing is, Neil Blomkamp. I mean, he doesn't seem like the sort of guy that would be swayed by big names. So I don't think.
I'm going to wait and see. I don't want to hype it up.
I do. I think it's going to be great. I'm going in with high expectations, and hopefully those expectations will be met. Yeah, Two Guns will be kind of middle of the road, I feel, and Elysium, I think, is going to be my film of the week next week.
I want to talk about Two Guns,
Yeah.
but I can't.
But you can't.
And I think that brings us to the end of
It
the show.
does indeed, yes.
Thanks for watching.
Yes, thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.
Take care.
We're out. Oh, yeah. A fucking 8 out of 10, really?
You live such a deprived life.